Today is a little bit of everything in the weather department. A little bit of sun, gusty winds off and on, some rain, more rocks, more muddy trails, and more of the beautiful things like the giant, I call them fern forests, just these enormous swaths of ferns growing along the path that are just magical to behold. This section of Pennsylvania is home to the midpoint of the trail. The midpoint moves a little bit every year as sections of the trail are reworked and rerouted for various reasons. But there are markers all along the way, noting how far you are on the trail from the starting point in Georgia and where you are as you're getting closer to the midpoint of the trail. Ever since I crossed the Mason-Dixon line into Pennsylvania, I have been thinking about a family story that I would hear from time to time on the front porch. And it has to do with Pennsylvania, so I promised I'll get to that part. But first, I'll just give you a little bit of background. I grew up in the mountains of western North Carolina, and on both sides of my family were farmers for many generations back. And one of the things that you do in farm families is that everybody gathers at Mama's house for dinner on Sunday, and you might go to one relative one weekend and another weekend, or some people tried to make it to both Mamas on the same Sunday. But that was just part of a typical Sunday growing up in the mountains. And we lived next door to my paternal grandmother, and there was only us and her. So we didn't have a big dinner with her on Sundays. But we always went to my maternal granny's house for Sunday dinner. And Granny fed dozens and dozens of people with homemade cakes and pies and homemade mashed potatoes and vegetables and several kinds of meats and homemade biscuits and lots of sweet tea and lots of coffee perking on the stove. And that has to do with this story because it's about my great-great-great-grandfather who once resided in Pennsylvania, and about what happened at one Sunday dinner in that family. So my grandmother, Granny Thomas's great-grandfather, had migrated to the United States during the potato famine and settled in Pennsylvania. And he had been in Pennsylvania a number of years when the Civil War broke out. He decided to come south and join the Confederate forces to fight on that side during the Civil War. So he left Pennsylvania and came south. My great-great-great-grandmother was widowed with either 2 or 3 children when she met and married my great-great-great-grandfather after the Civil War, and they settled in Mitchell County and had their own children and raised a family. As the story is told, one Sunday after everybody had left following Sunday dinner, my great-great-great-grandfather said to his wife that he wished he could see all of his children sometime. She was a little puzzled by his comment, and then he went on to tell her that when he left Ireland to come to the United States, that he had left a wife and children in Ireland and had had no contact with them since he left the country. So now that I'm here in Pennsylvania, I am interested in where he lived and what he did while he was here. And I know we have some genealogists in our family that can probably share that information with me, and I will add it to my list of things to do once I get back home. Thanks to all of you for watching. I really appreciate you joining me in this journey, and thanks so much for your support and encouragement.